download, and we can go. So thank you all for joining us today for our second in the series, Survive and Thrive. No one anticipated all of this going on, COVID, yet the conversations I've been having with our realtor community here in the Montgomery area has been really positive and really encouraging. And I love that all of you guys, especially the panelists, stepped up and said, you know what, many of you said, you know, I don't know what you want me to say, but I'll talk about what's going on in my business. And I think it's really important right now that we're having these conversations, and we are a community coming from contribution. So I've got some questions here, and as I said, we are recording this, and if you do have additional questions, or as we're talking, you're thinking of something, put it in the chat box, and I'll be monitoring that. We will bring that up. If everybody except the panelists will go ahead and mute yourself, we are going to have a time at the end for Q&A, and then again, we have the chat box as well. So I am Katie Woodard. I'm the team leader at KW Montgomery, and that's my role here. And we have 4 amazing panelists, and I would like you guys to take a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey in real estate, and what you got going on right now. So whoever wants to start us off can do that.
I'll start off. My name's Adam Beams. I'm the operating partner here at KW Montgomery. I got into real estate about a little over 4 years ago, and we ended up building a expansion team. We've done about $70 million in production last year, number 2 in the southeastern region for KW, and that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Who's next?
I'll go next. Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Cool. I'm Jeremy Kelly. Originally from Montgomery. Started out my real estate career at Aronoff. Me and Tara actually started together. I think we did post-licensing together, right?
We did.
We did, yeah. So been in the business. This is my 8th year. Started Kelly Realty back in 2016. Really, I'm a out-of-the-box thinker, and I try to approach real estate with that same type of mentality.
I love that. Go ahead, Tara.
So I'm Tara Jorgensen, and like Jeremy said, we started about 8 years ago, and that seems like just yesterday. I got into the business thinking that I would maybe sell 1 or 2 houses a year, that I would just kind of supplement a little bit of vacation time, and my business exploded. So I've enjoyed it, loved it, have grown it, and I do it because I have 3 kids that go to Auburn University, and or one is about to go to Auburn, join them. So I do this to pay for university, and because it's a lot of fun, keeps me busy.
That's right. Miss Paige.
All right, I'm Paige Mock. I am with ARC Realty, and when I went online to research my license number for Bo Evans' class, I realized that this is my 12th year as a realtor. I'm serving as president of the Montgomery Area Association of Realtors this year, and when I selected my theme of Be Extraordinary, this was not what I had envisioned.
Be careful what you ask for, Paige.
Yes.
Be extraordinary. Well, I love that. So let's talk about COVID. What ways has COVID affected your business today? And in what ways are you seeing it now?
Well, I can start. Me and Bo were talking when we first started out about property management. Property management is something that I do, but we manage Airbnbs, so it's kind of like a niche market. And we've seen a severe drop in, the people who are coming in and out of Montgomery. I mean, we lost, gosh, I want to say probably $18,000 worth of bookings over the last month. So the Airbnb industry, just like the whole travel industry, has been affected by it. So we've really seen a hit on that side. We've also seen a real big decrease in the amount of showings on our listings. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that out there, but it's like the foot traffic, at least in person, is down tremendously, but not online. So, Yeah,
Jeremy, to speak to that, it's kind of like in any shift, the internet didn't knock out all these mom and pop shops. The mom and pop shops got knocked out because they didn't change with the times. So when you look at that, like we had some virtual open houses this past weekend. I mean, if it's like you guys, if you have 10 or 12 people come through an open house, that is that's a lot of foot traffic for us in Tuscaloosa. We had 125 views on one of the virtual open houses, and we had 220 on another one. So, the reality is the exposure that we have the opportunity by changing with the times. I mean, I think that really this COVID-19 is really give us an opportunity to venture into different realms, such as Zoom conferences, virtual open houses. And it's also driven us back to the basics of reaching out to our database. It's given us a lot of opportunity to do those calls. Hey, Jeremy, I haven't, when you start having calls and you say, well, the caller bias, I hadn't talked to Jeremy. I sold him a house 8 years ago. I just don't want to call him now. Right. With this, it's given us the opportunity to come out of care or compassion. Hey, Jeremy, I just wanted to call and check on you. How are you and your family doing? It's not about business, but at the same time, you're going to naturally bring up how's the market in that conversation. And it allows us to be more personal and have a reason to call. So I think it's driven us toward technology, but it's also driven us back to the basics that we know that where our business should be coming from.
I like that. Paige, Terry,
Well, I'll go next. I feel like it's definitely, I started out with a bang and thought this is going to be an incredible year, and had an awesome January and February, and then it just stopped. I think that my showings have definitely slowed down some. I've got some clients who still need their house on the market, but don't want anybody to come into the house. I've noticed the one significant that I've noticed is like my average price range is probably somewhere around 250 to 300, but I do have a couple of deals going, houses that are anywhere from 100 to 150. I have seen a major difference in lending, in trying to push these people through. That I normally would never have had an issue. I find that we've got to be really careful about who these people are approved with, because I think that some of the lending industry is struggling, changing rules. Some of them are going up on their credit scores. Now they're having to verify the fact that they're all working. So I've got two that were supposed to close a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still fighting with the lender to get them closed. So that's a struggle. And I really feel like the price range that would be the busiest, with that $100,000 to $150,000, that market there, I think is going to be a bit of a struggle for the next few months. But I don't feel like anything that's going on is going to last for forever. I do find that I'm still getting listing appointments and things like that.
Awesome. It's all temporary, right?
Right.
It's temporary. And as long as we keep that at the forefront of our mind and just dig in, I think that all things are possible. And we will have an extraordinary year. Paige, what are you seeing, Paige?
What I have noticed most recently is that the clients that I have been working with, that we still are searching for a home or getting ready to list, seem much more interested in personal one-on-one contact. 2 months ago, it might have been a quick text, but now they're picking up the phone and they're calling and having a much more lengthy conversation than before. And, it can be good and bad, but I feel as though the relationships and connections that we are making right now during this particular time, kind of going back to what Adam said, it's just going back to the basics, but I feel like the working relationships that I'm building right now are probably better and deeper connected than, 2 or 3 months ago. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that.
That's perfect. And that's what the conversations we keep having is it's mind share than market share, right? It's digging into that. So what actions have you taken during this time to ensure your business continues to thrive? I know we touched on that a little bit, but would you mind going a little bit deeper on that?
Yeah, ours is we're just doubling down as far as our real estate team. We're spending 2 to 4 hours a day requiring our agents to reach out to their database and be highly intentional of coming just straight from compassion. Like Paige said a while ago, people are locked up at home homeschooling and they're wanting adult interaction. So the reality is this is a relationship business. It's a contact sport, and somebody's going to gain, just like in any shift, they're going to gain the market share now. And so for these agents that are sitting on their heels, sitting on their hands and saying, well, you know what, I can't work. It's kind of like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So it all starts with mind share. You got to have the right mindset to go get the market share. So we're just doubling down and being intentional on reaching our database, because that's where the majority of our business comes from. And if it's not that, those are our cheapest leads. And they're people that are saying, hey, listen, if I can't show you a house at 5 o'clock because I got to pick up my kids, they will reschedule for tomorrow at 2 o'clock when you have availability. Those leads, the Zillow leads and all that crap, in my opinion, you're chasing rabbits. So, but we're being highly intentional on touching our database, doing the database twice. We're following through on all those tactics. They work. And if y'all don't have the shift book, there's a shift call every morning at 7 o'clock. If you're not part of that, it's a free link. It's open to any brokerage, and it's got fantastic information on it. So if you guys, anybody on the call that wants that, y'all can reach out to us and we can put you in touch with that. So.
Yeah. Who else? What actions are you doing? Jeremy, what are you doing to make sure that you line up your business?
Yeah, so the bulk of our business comes from online marketing, social media, and our website. So one of the main things we're doing, I'm embarrassed to say one of my favorite singers is Michael McDonald. And the Doobie Brothers, they had a song called Taking It to the Streets. And that's what we're doing. Like, we're taking it to the streets right now. If the buyers aren't going to come to the listings and see them in person, then it is my job. It's incumbent upon us as realtors to take the listing where? To the buyers, right? And so what I've noticed is that we have a captive audience right now. I mean, we did a virtual open house about 2 weeks ago. I sponsored it on Facebook. We got like 13,000 views. That's indicative of the fact that we have a captive audience. People are sitting at home. They're bored. They're in front of their phones. I don't know about y'all, but I get an update every week that shows me how much time I'm spending on my phone, like how many hours I sit in front of my phone. I was at about 10 hours and 30 minutes last week. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my listings and I'm taking content and consistently putting it in front of the people because they're sitting at home with nothing to do. In a similar way with the Airbnbs, okay? If we're losing traffic from people, tourists and stuff like that, we pivoted and now we're on Nurse BNB. The nurses got to be here. You see what I'm saying? So we're taking it to the streets is what we're doing.
I love that, Jeremy. I love that so much. Who else has got something creative in a way that they've pivoted to make sure their business thrives during this time?
I'm with Adam. I've been reaching out to clients, reaching out to past clients, really horning in on people that would potentially need some help. Just whether it's, hey, do you need groceries? I've got some elderly, elderly people seem to flock to me. Which I love, but being there for them and if they need groceries or they need something done. And just reminding people, my business, the bulk of my business is word of mouth. So letting people know that I am still working, we are still closing houses. The interest rates are low. I've reached out to a lot of people about refinancing their homes. Maybe they, should make a phone call to a lender to see if they can get a better rate. So, and the other thing that I do is my office is closed, but it helps me to get out. I've got a home office, but it helps me having two home from college and a high schooler just to get out, come to the office and do what I normally do, work. And come up with things that I can do. And yes, the internet is going to be, Jeremy, these people have nothing better to do but look online. And we've got a huge military presence. And these wives, I mean, they just restricted the military from moving. They extended the date to June 30th. We'll see essential movers, which are going to be ACSC and Air War College. They were marked essential, so they will still be able to move. But as far as normal people with orders, they're just looking right now until they can get orders and until the leaving the local area is restricted. So now is the time to be hitting up the internet because of that reason. And I do think that we will see a surge. I think that we're going to continue to see things just kind of stagnant, slow moving. But in my own opinion, I feel like we've got to be ready because, and I need it. I need to be busy. So I am believing and knowing that I am going to be really busy with people once we're able to move around again. Thank God, because I'm going to lose my mind if I'm not with people. So Paige, the whole like talking to people, I find that even realtors that usually like to just text you and you want to give that one liner, I pick up the phone and call them now because I'm like, yeah, no, I need you to talk to me about something other than this damn virus. I'm ready for interaction with people.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And we're building deeper relationships with our database, but we're also, like you said, Tara, building deeper relationships with our fellow realtors. And that's what we're doing, right now too. I mean, what other occasion would something like this necessarily happen? And so I love that. Paige, did you want to tag on that and as to what you're doing right now?
A lot of the things have already been covered, but it's funny, Tara and I actually had a closing like in the midst of when things were being shut down. And we didn't really know day to day what was going to happen. And the lender was Chase Bank in New York. But it did happen. And Tara and I had a great transaction, but we did spend probably more time on the phone then than normally, than we would normally. But something else I've been trying to do is also reach out to those affiliate members that we work with a lot and keep those contacts, strong and refreshed. Our lenders, our pest control companies. I've talked to some people that, I've met in passing, but have never really been able to connect with. And so that's one thing that I've really been trying to do, makes your business flow so much easier when you know those people on a personal level and you can kind of pair your clients with a lender or, when you need that affiliate and you know who they are and you have that connection, life is so much easier.
Especially when you call with a problem, right? They're so much more willing to kind of like work with you if they know who you are. That's what I find. So what conversations are you having with clients that are feeling nervous and hesitant right now? What are you guys saying to clients that are feeling nervous? How are you calming them?
I think that it depends on what, in what aspect you're talking about. I mean, because now that's such a broad range. I mean, you've got clients that are concerned about people coming into their house. I'm listing a new house. I went over there last week. They said, listen, we want to list the house, but we don't want, beyond you, we don't want anybody in here. So that's when I have reached out to videographers and we are doing videos. from the second that you walk in, just trying to touch base on all of that so that people don't have a reason to go into the house. So as long as they're willing to let them in, I'm also doing, making sure that if they are allowing showings, that there's a little table set up with hand sanitizer and gloves and things like that. And as far as a selling, from a should I buy, should I sell? I don't think people are hesitant to buy as much as it is now a good time to sell. And I think that, yes, I mean, now we still don't have a plethora of inventory out there. And just the whole fact that everybody is looking online, you want your house online right now more than 6 months down the road when people are busy again. So I think that just as long as, if they read that I'm positive and that I am gung-ho and ready to go, I think that they're going to feed off of what I give them.
Yeah. We, Tara, just to spin off that a little bit, we invested in a Matterport 4K system about a year and a half ago, just for more so for our luxury listings. And so that's been a huge selling point. And what we're doing with our listings is, it doesn't matter if your house is $100,000 or $6.2 million, we're doing a Matterport on it. And that's to slow down the actual foot traffic and get the people that are truly interested in the house, because they can virtually walk through it, look up, look down, turn around, go throughout the whole house. That's been a huge move for us. It cost us the extra $100 just for the website, because we own the camera, and I've got staff that go in and do the Matterport. But that's one thing that we've done. We've invested in, and like you mentioned, the hand sanitizer, the foot covers. I was a therapist before I got into real estate and did home health, and fortunately I had about 4 boxes of gloves and tons of masks and booty covers for your feet. And so we had that supply to go in and offer that up, and most people are pretty cool about it. They're not really that worried. We went in and also just to be responsible, we required there be an hour gap between the showings. And so we didn't allow for any showings overlapping. That might be something to make sure that, for your sellers, we've offered even to have some of our staff come out there and actually go in and unlock the door, sanitize before, if you've got the staff to do that. The showings have slowed down, but the way we're marketing them, I think we had 51 under contract last I heard at the end of the month last month. I haven't got an update this month. So really the traffic has not really slowed down. But kind of going back, Katie, to the last question, I think as far as the communication to the public is having those market updates of, hey, Tara, we had 100 listings go on yesterday. We've had this many go under contract. So whenever you call to have that conversation, when people say, hey, how's the market? Well, actually, it hadn't really slowed down. Looking at year over year numbers, we've actually got firm numbers to build that confidence back into the concerned public. And I think it's our responsibility as agents to be the voice of calm to the real estate industry. People are looking for some good feedback, and having those numbers to show that the market's still moving. I think that's a huge contribution back to calm people down.
It really is.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things, that I'm dealing with my sellers is, first, just like everybody else said, of course, the first thing I'm telling them to do is everybody just relax. Well, I think one of the biggest issues is the last recession was started by the real estate industry. And so it has a lot of people afraid because they're thinking like, we just came out of recession in 2008, and it was spurred on by actions of the real estate industry, subprime mortgages and all of that. But what I'm trying to get my sellers to understand is that we might be headed into a recession, but it's not a real estate related and based and started recession. And if anything, the real estate industry is going to lead the way in the recovery this time. So just like Adam said, we're digging into the numbers a little bit deeper. What I did was I pulled how many homes went under contract in area 6. I got a list in area 6. I pulled how many homes went under contract and how many were withdrawn during the last 2 weeks of February. And then I compared that with the number of homes that went under contract and were withdrawn in the last 2 weeks. Shockingly enough, more homes have went under contract since COVID broke out. And it was a really, really good thing for my sellers to know and understand that, hey, the media does not necessarily know exactly what's going on in the real estate industry. They don't have their fingers on the pulse like we do. And so I just been reassuring them with the stats.
And with locally too, right? You know, the news channel, they want to see ratings go up and they want everything to be sensationalized. And oftentimes, you know, I mean, guys, you could look at California right now versus Alabama. When has Alabama and California been neck and neck in anything? I mean, you know, bringing those stats and having those conversations, that brings calm too. I mean, you're having a positive attitude, you're telling them how you can help them, and you're going, here's the data. Here's what's really going on. That's, for me, it calms some of the, you know, conversation I'm having. Their anxiety and fear goes down with truth and logic, right? Because they're feeling emotional. They're not feeling logical. I mean,
and Jeremy, one of the things that Jeremy did, I loved your video on teaching people about deferring payments. I thought that was genius. I thought that that's a really good video to put out right now, because I have talked to hairdressers and you know, different people whose businesses have been shut down, and I think that educating them on what to do when they can't make their payment is so important. So I thought that was really great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. I love seeing that. And I love, that's a way too that we can communicate to like the public at large, not just our database, but that we still are in business and that we are able to help people. And here is, you know, it's coming from contribution, Jeremy. It's exactly what you were doing. Let me explain this to you.
Yeah, most of the time our posts are celebratory. You know, in the real estate industry, we're with our keys, we're with our clients, we're jumping up and down, we're happy with our clients. But nowadays, we're trying to kind of shift more toward, you know, like you said, contribution, not necessarily celebratory. We still gonna celebrate because they got to know that we still selling these houses. But in addition to that, they need some good info.
Well, and to that, Jeremy, you know, what a great opportunity with our allied resources to highlight their businesses that are suffering right now, to get them
that's good
visibility. And with that, you know, hey, look, their clients are our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we refer back and forth. So sponsorships later on, you helping me now while I'm down, those are great tools. It doesn't cost us anything. We've got large databases, and we can get our allied resources in front of our databases and provide good service technicians or whatever it is that they provide, putting them out there on your social media in front of all of these, your huge database. It's a win-win situation. And
that's
so
really
when everything picks back up, and hey, I'm running a class, or I want to do something really nice for our agents. Well, there's that person that we helped while they were down, right? And there's a sponsorship later on for us to help our agents get them more business. It's a trend, right? We help them, they help us. It feeds each other, businesses to businesses.
Right. That business to business relationship, just like Paige said too, and getting to know people. I mean, especially if you aren't connected with several people, now's a perfect opportunity. Hey, how are you? This is who I am. This is the area I sell in. We can help each other for sure. So we talked a little bit about the Shift book. Who has read that, or who is reading that? Are you in any of those groups? What tactics, if so, what tactics are you looking at, and what tactics have been most profound for you right now? Adam?
I've done them all, so I was going to kind of opt out on that one. So I'll let somebody else take that. I know Jeremy's been on the tactic. On the pivot calls. I know we talked about it. Not to put Jeremy on the spot, but
yeah. I bought the book recently for all of my agents. I thought one of the more intriguing parts was about how to how to get creative with targeting people who are still going to be buying right now, such as investors. I mean, investors to me are almost recession proof because, they want the deal. Number one, they're looking for the deal right now because they feel like, the market is going to be down or whatever. So all my investors are circling in the water like sharks right now. So, that's one of the things we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Finding the motivated. Right now, those investors, that's a large group of motivated. They're going to be motivated, especially when right now the market's looking good to them. There's more opportunity for them.
The auctions are shut down too right now. So, a lot of the times, a lot of investors, your more savvy investors are at the auctions. Well, the auctions, they're not doing any in-person auctions right now. Supposedly, now there's still stuff online, but the bulk of the auctions were in person. So investors are kind of, twiddling their thumbs a little bit.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then also the one thing that I love from the shift was the expenses. And it talks about how you have 3 buckets. You got A, B, and C. And A is the things like necessary items. You got your mortgage, your car, your, groceries, things like that. B is things that you don't necessarily have, but you don't have to have them, but you want. And then C are all those subscriptions to things that we sign up for, and they're like $6.99, and then we forget. And then there's like 25 of them. The challenge from the Pivot Shift group was for people to pull their credit card and their bank statements and see how many little subscription things that you don't even realize you're paying for. And people were posting thousands of dollars that they're saving just by turning off like clip art or, what is it, like Word Swag or Audible. And hey, if you're listening to Audible, use Audible. But if you're not listening to it and you got 72 credits and you have no books and you're not listening to it, that's $17 that you don't need to be spending. So every bit of that to go back into our business is very important.
Well, and that right there, we each person on this call, whether you own a brokerage or you own a team or you're a single agent, you all have a business. And if you don't know your numbers, you're a sitting duck in a time like this. And so crunching your numbers and going through and seeing what your return on your investments are for every dollar that you spend, if that dollar that you're spending is not generating 6 to 7 times what you're spending, you need to be looking at cutting it. And I was coaching through with an agent this morning on their goals, and in Katie, in 10 minutes, she'll be ready to buy a new house that she was looking at 6 to 9 months out on just strategizing around how can we move things around. Holding your dollar responsible right now is critical. And when we get through this stuff, I think that it was probably 2 weeks before this all broke out. Katie, if I'm wrong, correct me. But we were in a class, and one of our agents had mentioned that they kind of stumbled through some deals, and they were good deals. Yet the market that we were in pre-COVID-19, anybody could go with a high school education, GED, whatever, 19 years old, and get a real estate license. And if you applied yourself, you could go out there and make a killing. There is no limit on how many houses that we can sell, right? Yet when the market turns in this shift like this, all of a sudden the real players are revealed. Somebody said the other day, it's kind of being at the beach. When the tide goes out, you see who's got the bathing suit on, and you got to be playing the game. And this is a business, so knowing your numbers, going through and making sure that every dollar is held responsible to make money. We were sitting in that class, and I told the agent, hey, listen, if you're not running a business at a high level and knowing your numbers, when the market shifts, it's going to knock you out of business. And 2 weeks later, all this came about, and here we are. You got a lot of people, even your top producers, saying, I'm not taking any more business. Well, this is the time during the shift to just pile buyers and sellers up. If they're not ready, if they're nervous about listing their house, that's fine. But that pipeline should be jammed up. As soon as this thing breaks loose, you got the person sitting down, and you got the analogy of somebody running in place. They're ready to go, got their game face on. Their business is running lean and mean based on their financials. As soon as this thing breaks loose, who's going to win? The person sitting down saying they're not taking any more business, or the person that's being responsible and ready to go? So holding your money responsible for producing a return, I think it's critical. And going through your finances like that, I can't remember what tactic that is in Shift Manual, but it's critical on running a business.
Yeah, play red light, green light. And I like that analogy of the buckets too, because it just helps you as you're looking at everything, and just look at what you, maybe not the past month, because we've been in this a month now, but the month before, what were you regularly spending, maybe not paying attention to. We've got to watch all of that now. Okay, so let's talk about when times get tough, what do you do, or what do you lean into to get your positive mindset back? Because we talked about mindset being such a priority here. So who wants to tell me what they do to keep a positive mindset?
So last week, I had an opportunity to sit in a couple of trial Zoom education classes. And then that motivated me to just keep on further educating myself. And NAR is offering a couple of certification courses. And so I jumped on NAR's site and completed 2 certifications. And, at the end of the day, when we continue to educate ourselves and boost our confidence and our level of knowledge, it gave me such a great feeling to know that I'm going to be able to better serve my clients and customers when this is over. The courses were great, both NARS and the online education courses I did. And so that really put me in a much more positive mindset.
I love that. I love that. Who else?
Yeah, I'm a odd person. My mom told me I've been this way my whole life. So
Oh, we lost you, Jeremy.
a call come through. Now I'm back.
Okay, good.
I'm back. All right. Somebody tried to call me. All right. But anyway, the things that motivate me are what I've been looking into. I've been listening to some Winston Churchill, some Ronald Reagan. I'm studying the Great Depression. I'm looking at how great men and great women handled hard times. That's what I'm looking at. Not necessarily for their blow-by-blow strategy, but I'm looking at their mentality and how they viewed it and how they walked in those times. Really, it's just giving me a lot of insight. It's giving me a lot of motivation, because I feel like what we're enduring right now, what we're going through, pales in comparison. I'm a history buff. It pales in comparison to what people have been through in other historic times. So I'm digging deep into history, and I'm looking at how people handle harsh times.
That's awesome. I don't think that's odd at all. I think everybody just wrote down to watch the Abraham Lincoln documentary. It's probably what everybody just said.
Well, hey, hard workers make it through hard times. So
That's right.
It's not doubling down to get double the business. It's double down to maintain your stance and grab that market share for later on. I love that. And I've been reading Ronald Reagan's book too. So that's pretty cool.
Are you guys besties?
We might be.
All right, Tara, Miss Positivity. What do you do to keep a positive mindset?
I have to be honest with you. When all of this started, I'm a self-motivator, and I'm very competitive, but I'm competitive with myself. So for me, I look at, okay, what were you doing last year at this time? What were you doing last month? And I have to say, I've had a few days that I've even felt like, okay, well, the kids are home. Nothing's, you can get into that mode very fast. The kids are home. It's a beautiful day. The pool is calling my name. I'd rather lay out than, and spend time with them than to do anything else. So I really just try hard to just stay in a work mode. I look at what other people are doing, not necessarily in our area, but I look at other areas. And I look at my friends that are real estate agents in other states. And I just constantly look at what people are doing here and remind myself that, hey, people are doing, they're still working, they're still listing, they're still selling. And for me, it's also, again, it's about talking to people and just keeping, I keep telling my office, I am not busy enough. You know, I have got to be busier. So I only make that happen by talking to people and really, you know, just every day, just looking at some new news article or looking at numbers, or like when we talk about the housing market, you know, the 2008. I was looking at numbers this morning and looking at the appreciation that was going on then versus what's going on now, and reminding myself that, hey, we are in a great position. So I just think that it's just that every day, just trying to hold yourself accountable to, you still work full time, and you still have a lot to offer. And Adam made a great point about, you know, I do feel like this is the time that people that are really in real estate to be in it, you're going to out sustain all these people who are in it because they think that it's easy, because it's not easy right now. So now doing things like this is great, but it also, for me, it's a bonus, because I feel like all the people that you deal with that don't know what they're doing because they're doing one deal a month, they're probably not going to sustain through this time. So I'm actually kind of excited about what's to come. And I think that it's through realtors like this that are really interested in you know, our future. I think that we're going to be the ones that are all going to be high-fiving at the closing table.
Tara, that's a great point. I mean, I think that any shift, if you look at '08, the COVID-19 situation, it's going to be a healthy coal of our industry, and it is what it is, and it's not. You know, anybody has the capability of performing, but not all will. It's just like equal outcomes don't mean everybody has equal opportunity, but the outcome's different, right? It's what we put into it. But Katie, your question about what keeps us motivated. You know, Terry, you said you had college, 3 at Auburn, so good.
2
God.
at Auburn, 1 almost at Auburn.
So I think it always goes back to our big why. Why do I get up in the morning? And I think that I'm not a, Katie, don't laugh, but I'm not a big emotional frou-frou guy by any stretch of the imagination. And about 2 years ago, our team said, hey, we're going to get together and do this little vision board deal, right? And I thought, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not cutting. It's like arts and crafts day or something. I mean, I got business to do. But I think it's important that even now, taking the time, if you got a team or a brokerage, to, hey, you guys, everybody's coming to the office and we're going to get our goals in front of us. What is my big why? Whether that's your daughter going to Auburn, or that's your, some of your agents, or whatever it is, or it's my life. It's my goal is, right? What is it? Why is it important? And have that in front of you. Every day I look at my vision board before I leave, and there's things that are still there before COVID-19, and they're still my goals. I just have to double down now more than I had to before. It didn't change my goals, right? What am I willing to do to obtain those goals? The same efforts before this are not going to match what it's got to be now. So I think it's critical for everybody that's on this call to be very clear in what it is that you want out of life. This is bigger than real estate. Real estate is just a path that we're going down to hit the goals in our life, right? It's our tool. So what is the goal for me at the end of the day, for my kids, for my wife, for my agents in my brokerage? What is it? My church. Why am I here, and why am I doing this? I think if you've got that in front of you, you don't need anything else, right? And getting up every day and putting on fresh clothes, taking a shower, doing the normal things, staying in your routine and going in. That doesn't mean that you can't leave at lunch after you've led, you did your lead gen, you did your lead follow up, and I don't have any showings today, and go lay out at the pool or spend time with your kids. I think that's very, doable. But I think it's staying motivated behind why it is we do what we do.
Yeah. And what I hear you guys saying though is really you're leaning in. I didn't hear anybody say, "Oh, well, I'm taking time to journal and think about what I would do if COVID was not here." Every one of you guys answered a way that you're leaning in and engaging further. You're taking classes, you're remembering your big why, you're staying in routine, you're digging in and learning from people that have been through worse times than us. So all of this together is very positive, and it's why you guys are the ones that are on the Survive and Thrive panel. You guys are the ones. You're the, you don't want to say survivors because you're thriving, right? Every opportunity to lean in, re-engage, and learn and adapt. So it doesn't matter what's going to come your way. And I think when we have the conversation of those that are competitors and are going to take market share versus those that are not, I don't think it's not like a negative statement for anybody on the call. It's a statement of where are you? Where am I? Right? It's for us to ask ourselves, where am I in these two categories? Am I one that's re-engaging or leaning in and developing and pivoting, or am I one kind of waiting it out? It's always good to ask that. A couple more questions. So what are you guys, we talked about how to get in a positive mindset. Has anybody got a recommendation on a podcast or a book or something that you're leaning into now? We talked about shift a little bit. What else that you can share with everybody on this call? I'll send out a list. So what's been influencing you in a positive way and helping you pivot your business right now?
I think. Go ahead, Jeremy.
One of the books I'm reading is this right here, The Tao of Charlie Munger. Okay, so one of my biggest things is I think one of the reasons that I'm able not to panic right now is because I'm not solely dependent upon real estate sales, that just particular division in order to sustain, right? And so one of the things that I preach to my agents is we are real estate professionals, and we should definitely be real estate investors because this is our area of expertise. So I'm digging deeper into books like this. This is one of Warren Buffett's right-hand man right here. And, he's just talking about a lot of financial principles. So I'm digging into that. 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene is a really, really good book to read right now. Anything as far as like podcasts, really interviews. I've been listening to a lot of Dana White. Dana White is the president of the UFC, and he's on a crusade to be the first person to open up his sport again. So what I'm doing is anybody that's not feeding into the hysteria, anybody that is adamant about pushing through this and really not just, like you said, surviving, but thriving in this moment, those are the people that I'm tuned into and focused on.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the pivot call, being it's at 7 a.m., it requires it's recorded, right? But I like to be there live, and so not only is it require me to get up and be on the call at 7 a.m., but nationally we've got insight to what's going on nationally. And typically things start out west and they migrate to the east, and so hearing across the country what other people are strategically doing, and hearing that even New York and California agents that some not been deemed essential, they're still figuring out a way of doing business, right? And so if they can do that non-essentially, surely to God, we can do it essentially. And it's just strategically listening and learning from people, from agents just like us across the United States. Another thing is Dave Ramsey. He's one of my big, mentors, and financially I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the one thing my mother-in-law gave me that I liked in 1999 when we got married. And so I'm reminded she signed at the front page of it. So every time I open it, I remind she did do something good for me. So other than giving my wife, but we follow that strictly. And that's one book that any agent on here, if you haven't financially planned and weren't prepared for this in your life, I would highly recommend getting Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover. It's a very simple read, and going through that and being very strategic with your money and holding it responsible. And hey, there's been a lot of times when we went out to dinner and had the envelope be empty and have to tell the kids, no, we can't get ice cream, we're out of money. But doing that, living like nobody else, one day you get to live like nobody else. And it's really encouraging.
That's one of the first things you told me about, Adam, when we met, was Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover. I think the thing about that, though, is he talks about how to make money a positive. You know, sometimes we get in such dire situations and it feels negative, but it can be very positive and healthy for ourselves and our family. Paige, what are you reading and doing? You mentioned NARS classes. What classes did you take, or what are you reading?
So I'm probably a little different. Right now, I'm reading for myself and for fun. I did read a great book, What Stands in a Storm, and it was about the April 27th, 2011 tornadoes in Alabama. And it was very touching and kind of reminds us of how great our state is. So I would recommend that book for anyone when you just want to read something that, you know, was such a historical event. But NAR's site has provided so much information. I will say that I have probably visited NAR's site more in the past month than I had in the past 3 years. They have daily updates. They have done webinars. I completed the ePro certification and the PSA certification. And those courses normally cost between $150 and $250. And NAR has waived the course fees. So you can go onto the NAR site, Right Tools right now, and do both of those certifications at no cost. You do pay a one-time fee to have each certification, but they have discounted that by 50%. I just finished the PSA course, the pricing strategies, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend that course.
That's great. That's great. That's something we talked about when we talked about doing this call too, is all of the resources. Do you want to touch on the board resources right now? Or I know you guys were working on some of those things.
We are still working on some things. I'm sure that everyone knows that the Alabama Real Estate Commission has approved Zoom or online educational classes. And so all of our members should know that you're going to see some things coming from the association regarding those classes. And I think you'll be super excited to see what we have to offer. AAR, the Alabama Association, Slade's on here. I see Slade. They've done a great job. They lobbied. They made sure that we remained essential during this time period. They've stayed on top of what's going on, have had their fingers on the pulse. So all of our associations, NAR, AAR, and MAR, have really done a fabulous job making sure that our membership has what they need. So y'all be on the lookout for all the educational classes information coming out soon.
That's exciting. I love that. Everybody's getting along. It just took a crisis. I'm just kidding. I love that though. Tara, what are you reading and leaning into right now?
You know, I really can't say that I'm watching Tom Ferry. I'll watch some of his videos and things like that. But for the most part, I haven't spent a lot of time. I've thought about reading and taking courses a lot, but I have not done a lot. And, you know, it really has to capture my attention for me to sit down and spend the time to do it. So really, I don't have a lot to add to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, this is a judgment-free zone where everyone.
Well, good. I'm glad. I will say this. You know, one thing that I think that is important, especially, I think that the majority of us are all seasoned agents that are on the call. But you know, I am not threatened by any other local agent out there. I feel like we can all help each other, and I've said this. I mean, you know, I live in Prattville. but I work the entire Tri-County area. But we can all help each other, and we can all still make a lot of money because there's a lot of money to be had. So I think that as long as we all, do things like this to help one another, I'm not threatened by anybody on here. Anything that I learned from you is going to help us all. So I think that that's something that's just so important for all the agents to realize is that, I'm not going to give you some secret ingredient that I don't want anybody else to know. I'm glad and happy to share anything with you, just because I think that each of us can still make a good bit of money.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. I love that. And I want to finish up with this. We have about 5 minutes left. KW right now has a course called Bold Pivot. They typically have a Bold at 7 weeks. I want Adam to tell a little bit about what his experience with Bold is. Right now it's all online, it's all digital, and it's 4 weeks. It's typically $7.99. It's right now $9.99. It talks about the expenses, it talks about the mindset, talks about scripts, social media, database, all of those things. And it's 32 hours of coaching with scripts, expense cutting, etc. Over 13,000 agents worldwide have already signed up, and it begins in May. Everybody on this call, we're going to enter you guys in to win. We at KW Montgomery want to thank you all for being here. So one person is going to win a membership to that. And Adam, if you'll just tell everybody what was Bold and what did it do in your life? Like what's been your experience with it?
So I got in about 4.5 years ago, and I was a therapist before. I mentioned that earlier. Got hit by a concrete truck.
In a car.
I was in a truck and got hit by a concrete truck. So I got in, and when I joined in to KW, I didn't know anything. I didn't interview anywhere else. I just came in, and they kept talking about systems and models and how to build a business. And so Bold came in, and it was $7.99. And so this online thing, I think she said $9.99. It's actually $99.99.
99. I'm sorry, 99. 100.
So it basically broke down over 7 weeks how to build a real estate business, and it strategically, when I got in, I was like, well, I got my license, and so now I just go sell houses, right? So it really broke down on a day-to-day, what is it that I need to be doing to perform at a high level? And most people that sign up through the 7 weeks average about 10 to 14 transactions through that 7-week course. So it's a high intensity program to basically get us to do what we need to be doing on a daily basis. People say, hey, listen, I really want to hit my goals. And you say, well, hey, what are you willing to do to hit your goals? And they say, well, anything. Well, I tell you what, if you just do one thing I tell you to do, I can guarantee we can hit any goal that you want. And they say, well, great. Tell me what that is. And it's master your schedule. If you can just master your schedule, follow a schedule every day, I can help you hit any goal you want to hit. And so basically having gone through Bold, it breaks down all those systems, all those models on how to be highly efficient with your time, follow the schedule day in and day out, because we know when we lead in and we lead follow up, we set appointments, our business takes off, and then all of a sudden we stop doing those things because we've got so much business, right? So
Right.
What happens is we don't have the next steps to put in place so that we can build a bigger business, so that we're not losing business. Because if our money's made in that lead gen and the lead follow-up, that's our 20% that we need to be knocking out of the park every day, because that's where our money's produced. We know that 20% of our activities generate 80% of our money, right? 80-20 rule. And so this system, this class helps us go in and strategically follow the methods, the models, the systems on a routine basis, so that, hey, when we start maxing out, hey, Jeremy, I can't take any more, man. Well, hey, look, this is the next step, right? And then, hey, after that step, we're going to regroup and we're going to do this step. And we keep building it out so that, I mean, this whole
It's
thing is
14 hours.
how we built our business and did $70 million last year and closed over 300 transactions. And it's not anything special for us. It's just we followed bold. So that's going to be a drawing that we're going to hold. Katie's going to reach out to you guys and let you know. If you don't win, you're still welcome to register. It's open across all brokerages. And look, our culture is to help others. And hey, through that, we all grow together. And we want to not just change. Obviously, we're trying to change Williams Montgomery right now through some things, but we want to change the fabric of Montgomery through real estate, because there's a lot of things that we can do better, right? And there's opportunity, either building your brokerage bigger, building your team, an individual agent, and all those strategies come through Bowl.
This is it's typically 7 weeks. This is 4 weeks. It's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3 Central, and it's all virtual. They're actually going to record the sessions as well. So if you couldn't make the time slot, you have accessibility to the recordings, and it's got the top real estate coaches in the world. So it's $99. We're going to enter everybody in. I'll do the drawing and call everybody. Thank you guys so much for being on the call today. I really appreciate everybody that's here, and you panelists, y'all just stepped up. I called you out of the blue and you were like, of course I'll do it. We will keep doing these as long as this goes on and we need to. So if you're interested in being a panelist, I know I've spoken to some of you guys and y'all are like, I'll wait and see what they do. They did beautifully. Slade McElroy is saying he wants to do it again with his, you win the award for the best backgrounds because we changed about 8 times and they're animated. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Cutting my own hair today. I'm cutting my own hair today. That's how I keep, see, Kim got me.
Hey, that's better Slade than that Floby, man.
I wouldn't know, Adam.
Oh, man.
Thank y'all so much.
I appreciate you guys being on here today.